Okay, tonight we're talking about dividing monomials. So in class we talked about adding, subtracting, multiplying, and then applying a power to a monomial. So tonight we're just going to focus on dividing. So as always, please write what I write, dividing monomials, and we're going to follow two steps, just like we've been doing. And as always, the first step has to do with the coefficients. So when I'm dividing monomials, the first step I do is I divide the coefficients. Okay, and remember the coefficients are the numbers in front of the variables. So let's say I have 4x divided by 2x. My coefficients are 4 and 2. All right, divide the coefficients. Then step 2, we're going to look at the variables. So we're going to use the quotient rule to simplify the variables. So the quotient rule goes back to that orange booklet that we were working on, the laws of exponents, and the quotient rule just says this. It says if I have variables one over another, so like x5 over x to the third, I can subtract the exponents to get my final answer. So in our example, we had x to the fifth was 5x's, x to the third was 3x's. You can cancel out 3 and you're left with x squared, or x to the second power. That's the same thing as just saying x to the 5 minus 3, or x to the second power. So we'll rewrite out that rule. If I have xa over x to the b, that's going to be the same thing as x raised to a minus b. That's the quotient rule. So let's go ahead and apply these rules to some examples. So first one, let's do x to the sixth over x to the third. Well, we're going to subtract. Well, first let's divide coefficients. The coefficients in front of these are just 1 and 1. So 1 divided by 1 just leaves us with a 1. We really don't need to write 1. We'll end up getting rid of it. And now we're going to use the quotient rule to simplify. So I have x to the sixth over x cubed. 6 minus 3 leaves us with 3, so we have x to the third. So our final answer is just x to the third. All right, let's go ahead and try k to the 8th over k to the 5th. Divide the coefficients. Again, the coefficients are just 1 and 1, so our answer will have a 1. And then 8 minus 5 leaves us with k to the third. To completely simplify our answer, we really don't want to include that 1, so we'll just say our answer is k to the third. How about if I have m to the third over m to the third? Well, we should notice something interesting about this. I mean, m to the third is m to the third. So realizing that anything divided by itself is just 1. But let's follow the rules. Let's divide the coefficients. So 1 divided by 1 is 1. And then we have m. 3 minus 3 is 0. So remember in our booklet, we said that rule. What's anything raised to the 0 power? If you're not sure, look at your booklet. But anything raised to the 0 power is always going to be 1. So this is really just saying 1 times 1, which is in fact 1. And if you don't believe me, let's use our calculator to prove it. Anything raised to the 0 power, I could say 5 raised to the 0 power, it's 1. 10 raised to the 0 power, it's 1. It doesn't matter whether it's a variable or a number, anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So our answer for this is just 1. All right, let's try something with more than one variable. So we have a to the 6th, b to the 4th, and then a squared, b to the 3rd. So coefficients, we have 1 over 1, so we're just going to have 1. And then we only subtract the exponents of the same bases. So what I mean is if I have a to the 6th and a squared, I'm not even going to look at the b's when I write my A answer. So 6 minus 2 gives us 4, so I have a to the 4th. And then we'll look at the b's. 4 minus 3 is just 1, so that's just b. Or you could say b to the 1. Our final answer is a to the 4th times b. All right, so that's 4. Let's do number 5. How about I have some coefficients? So 6x to the 4th over 2x to the 3rd. So we've got coefficients, 6 and 2. And we can divide those pretty easily. 6 divided by 2 is just going to give us 3. X to the 4th, x to the 3rd, 4 minus 3 gives us 1. So we're just left with 3x. Because remember, we don't have to write x to the 1, it's just x. Okay, 14x squared y squared over 7xy. I've got 14 and 7 as coefficients. We can definitely reduce those. 14 divided by 7 is just 2. And then these both have 1's with them. So 2 minus 1 leaves me with x to the 1. 2 minus 1 gives me y to the 1, or just 2xy. All right, let's see. Yeah, we'll do a couple more. We're just going to do this one. So let's do negative 15x to the 6th, y to the 5th, z, over negative 3x to the 5th, y to the 3rd. All right, so check out our coefficients. I've got negative 15 and negative 3. Those reduce pretty nicely. Negative 15 divided by negative 3 is just 5. 6 minus 5 gives me x to the 1. 5 minus 3 gives me y squared. And then z doesn't have anything to simplify on the bottom with, so it's just going to stay z. And if I really want to simplify this, it should be 5x y squared z. Awesome. All right, last one, number 8. 4n to the 5th over 8n. So I have 4, 8. So let's divide those. 4 divided by 8. Let's see what we get. 4 divided by 8, 0.5. I don't want to have any decimals. So how do we convert a decimal to a fraction? If you remember, we go to math on our calculator. It's the math button under alpha, and enter, enter. So that will turn 4/8 into a reduced fraction, 1/2. And then n to the 5th divided by n, which is just n to the 1, would leave us with n to the 4th. So our final answer is 1/2 n to the 4th. Okay, don't forget to do the practice problems posted, fill out the Google form, and that's it for tonight. Have a great one.